I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Mushoku Tensei Season 2, Episode 15. We have a house. We're a proper family now.
And that family might be growing. This house might be, having a little more warmth in it, a little more members to live in it.
Yeah, I wonder if last episode was like, I don't know. Again, just an introduction into the start of what's to come this season. I'm very excited for it. I'm loving, what we've gotten so far, but I want more. I want more. I'm selfish. I'm greedy. Ginger York.
Right. Yes. Ginger York. Sylphie and Ellen Elise related. We got a grandmother and a granddaughter there. That was.
We do.
I am still, after that episode ended, I racked my brain. I was like, did I have any ounce? No, I didn't. I had no ounce of even feeling like that could have been a thing.
Are we kind of stupid for it? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Huh, mailman.
We did send a letter to Paul.
Oh, no way. No way. Okay!
Yes! Let's hear it.
Okay, yeah. Eastport. Whoa. He hasn't been there.
I don't feel right bringing kids here.
Oh my god, look at her. No! No! Shut the fuck up!
Shut the front door! You saw that hand.
And I'm assuming Ginger York is coming along with that party based on the intro, right? Whew.
You can tell the letter delay by the fact it doesn't mention wedding.
Haha, you fool. You fool! I guess he didn't see the hand.
Oh, he wasn't there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, now you gotta tell your wife. Oh, he's excited about it. I love that he's excited about it.
What do you think Sylphie's reaction to Ruijerd would be? Wow. It does.
That's how all couples should spend the time after dinner.
Yeah. Sylphie's cardigan is everything. Imagine watching season 1 episode 1 and then season 2 episode 15.
地魔術で中空に岩が出現するのは何変化させているのか。
じゃあ説明は終わり。始めましょうか。
何かおかしい。魔法陣の光り方に。回路がショートしたのか。これは
失敗ね。
Damn.
うん。
今日はもう帰ってもいいわ。
まあ。では失礼します。
Aw.
七星はここ最近随分と張り詰めてた。
Getting her home has to be a final goal of
響い
this
ているんじゃな
series.
いだろうか。七星はあれでいて結構強そうだの度量はあるだろう。
大丈夫か？ちょっと頑張りすぎたんだよ。今日は休もう。
師匠、
七星がやばい。助けてくれ。
まずは医務室へ運びましょう。師匠、ヨが運びます。
丁寧にな。
無論です。道を開けろ。
I wonder what the lingering on Julie's face was about.
なるほど。彼女は好きで研究をしていたわけで。
そうだな。
グランドマスター、顔ひどい。
ああ、俺はブサイクだからな。シルフィーに相談してしばらくは七星を俺の家で世話しようと思う。
グランドマスター、何ですか？
なんでもない。ジュリー、ザノバによくしてもらう。
マスターにはご飯たくさん食べさせてくれます。
バカ。マスターはご飯を食べさせてくれます。だな。
ご飯をたくさん食べさせてくれます。
七星はちゃんとご飯を食べていたのだろうか。誰かと一緒に食べるだけで立派な精神安定剤になる。
He knows a thing or two about dealing with anxiety.
Yeah.
俺は彼女のことをほとんど知らない。同じ日本人で
Wow.
秘密を共有。
まだ眠ってる。一応中魔術をかけておいたけど。
ありがとう。護衛中にごめんな。
そうだ、着替えさせた時に。作業用のかもしれないけど。
一応預かっておくよ。
エント殿のような顔色をし
Look
てお
at
り
the
ます。
eyes.
昔の辛いことを思い出したんだ。無気力になって閉じこもったことがあっただけさ。
少し境遇が違えばああなっていたのは俺だったかもしれない。
また助けが必要であれば世におっしゃってください。あり余っておりますので。
ああ、頼むよ。腹減ってないか？
Man.
なんか食いたいもんがあれば。そうだ、ポテトチップス食べるか？うまそうに食ってただろう。
全部塞いだと思ったのよ。魔法陣は基盤みたいな回路を組み合わせることで一つの機能を作り出す。どうしてもあの一点
That one
回路が
point.
つながらなかった。気に無理なのよ。
It's physically impossible.
家に帰れないってこと。
That wasn't the first failure, you know?
見てほしい。
魔法陣か。これはどういう種類の？
召喚魔法陣の図面だ。みんなの知恵を借りたい。
しかし師匠、我々は召喚魔術は専門外ですが。
Do you think Julie is going to be able to like somehow
Oh,
figure
dude,
it
I
out?
hope so.
分野が違えば出てくるアイデアも違うだろうし。ここで魔力が途切れるらしいんだがわかるか？
ああ、ここで切れてるのか。そこか。
ここに魔力を流すの
I
に
feel like Cliff
何
could be
か
good
アイ
at
デアはあ
this.
りませんか？
あっちとこっちがこうなってるから。
I mean, thinking of it like a circuit board might be a detriment, you know?
いやでも
Thinking of it
無理だ。
from the perspective of a
Yeah.
magic user
構造にすれ
here
ば
might
い
be
け
the
るのでは
best.
ないですか？
Compound design?
何の話だ？
いくつもの魔法陣を重ね合わせることで一つの効果を生んでいる。とはいえ、世も研究を始め。
人形ってそこにあるこの間のやつか。ちょっと見せてくれ。
Didn't it have?
Mm-hmm.
ってやつは天才だな。お、見たことがない。全然理論がわからん。
Find the person who created this. They might be able to help Nanahoshi, right?
もっと多重なんだ。なんだこの魔法陣は。
世もまだ詳しくはわからんのだが、動きを制御するための魔法陣であるらしい。
We're kind of bridging magic and the image of a circuit board here.
クリフ先輩、この人形に使われている技術の魔法陣の問題は解決すると思いますか？
わからない。可能性はあると思う。
Wow.
皆さん、例のものを。
Like the layering.
できる。そうか。何も平面にこだわる必要なかに描いたって厚みは出るのよ。
Mhm.
積層させればどれだけでも大きい。どうしてそんな簡単なことを思いつかなかったのかしら。
She's not so silent anymore, is she?
ああ、違う。こうじゃない。
But she's motivated.
じゃないのか。
And it's gonna bring her together with
With
this
other
world
people,
of
yeah.
appreciation.
当然だ。僕は天才だからな。この式が使えるな。
じゃあここはこれでいけそう。
The score is so good.
Imagine how fun it was to draw all of these.
Yeah.
Design them.
I don't know, it seems extremely tedious, you know, like electrical work. Wow.
I meant for the mangaka
Oh.
or whoever originally drew it.
Don't you love that this is being held together with tape? And it's
That is
insanely
oh, you see
powerful.
it light up
I
behind
love
the
the
paper. It is
oh my
layered.
god.
It's from seeing the papers hanging like that. Plastic
works.
water bottle.
すごいですな。
It
なん
works.
だこれは。ラスか。違うな。もっと柔らかい。
Plastic,
た
baby.
かがペットボトル。
よし。
されどペットボトルだ。
これでようやく次の段階に進めるわ。この魔法陣、これを突き詰めていけば、おそらくどんなはず。
Do you think she intended to summon specifically a plastic bottle or
ギブアンドテイクでしょ。
She probably thought of that
今
as
度
a
僕が
simple
困った
thing.
時に助けてください。
もちろんよ。
今日はパーッと祝いましょう。もちろんあなたのおごりで。
かないわね。でも、それであなたたちへの貸し借り。
Yes!
Everyone.
Body Gotti, let's go! Look at him, he's not even looking the right way.
Ever since the welcome home party, we're all
You know what would make this family environment even more family-like?
little sisters.
今日は
And Ruijerd.
ありがとうございました。
And Ginger York.
じゃないので、前世では一度もしたことがなかった。周りの奴らに助けられたら、きっと嬉しくて喜びを分かち合うために
Laughing at
騒ぎたく
Sophie.
なるんだろう。たまには全てを忘れないと、
Woo!
生きてはいけないのだ。
What a line.
Look at her.
人生は辛いことばかりだから。
Is it over?
Yeah.
Did not feel like it was over.
Might be an after credit. What do you think?
I think there might be.
Arrivals? Ah!
が道間違えってあっちで間違いないって言ってたし。
Aww! The expression of disdain.
ルーデウス、
I am gonna freak out.
久しぶりだな。
お久しぶりです。ルイジェルドさん。
I don't want it next time. Give it to me now.
Oh my god.
That's who I want to see in my house.
久しぶりだ
Sitting
な。
on my couch.
本当に。
子供を守るのは当然のことだ。
And you are
パウ
the
ロの手
perfect
紙
person
に
for
書
the
いてあった
job.
護衛はどうだったか。
How did that come to be?
これほど頼りになる男はいないな。
あれからどこにいたんですか？
Tell me everything.
2年ほど南部の密林地帯。
Mmm.
その後はイーストポートに向か 娘をお前のところへ向かわせると言っていたから護衛に申し出た。
ジンジャーさんも
Ginger.
Hell yes, she
王
did.
子のところに戻ると言っていたな。お前の師匠にもあった。
Roxy!
ああ、露骨に怖がられてしまった。
Yeah.
Thinking about our introduction to him and Roxy's parents.
恐ろしいと教えてくれたのはロキシー。
妹が張り切ってな。
どっちの？
アイシャの
Yeah.
小キャラバンの護衛として乗せてもらって
Ah.
効率よく移動できた。にこき使われた感じがしたな。
Wow.
Sounds about right.
うちの妹が大変。
笑い話だ。
本当に久しぶりだな。前はどんな話をしていたっけか。
ところで、エリスはどうした？
I just got chills.
I didn't even think that that might come up for some reason.
僕の元から去っていきました。
エリスは決してお前が嫌いになったわけではないだろう。
取れないって言ってました。
真意はわからん。それともお前が勘違いしてい
God,
る
I
Maybe
miss
she
Rudy,
meant
dude.
just what she said.
ですか。
の意味があったってことか。いや、何にせよ俺は3年間くれたのはエリスではなくシルフィーだ。今さら考えてもしょうがない。
はどれぐらいこちらに？
明日には立つ。
Why?
随分と急ですね。
ああ、
邪魔だなんてそんな。
Rudy's grown so much,
ルー
man.
です。そんな顔をするな。それにエリスは決して言葉のうまい方ではなかった。何か理由があるのかもしれん。もし会う機会があったら落ち着いて話をしてみろ。エリスと出会ったら奴の言い分を
I'm
聞いて
getting extremely emotional.
お願いします。
I love everything. Oh my god, man.
Two things. Oh, you have something too?
No, go.
Two things. Now I understand Roxy's expression when Paul was discussing sending Norn and Aisha.
Mhm.
Roxy looked like freaked out about the idea of sending them
Yeah.
to Rudy, but it was because Ruijerd was in the room.
Yeah.
And it was before the handshake. Also, the timing of Eris coming back into conversation and what she meant by well matched once Rudy has like chosen
Yeah.
his love. Wait, maybe it's not as tense as I'm
Maybe
feeling
it's
like
love
it
and
is.
respect.
そういうことか。
バーディ陛下と何かあったんですか？
昔な。
二人ともラブラス戦役時代から生きているし、当時
Wow.
はいろいろと因縁もあったのだろ
奴と争うつもりはない。しかし、
僕に会いにこの国まで来たらしいですよ。
奴はそういう男だったな。では、俺はそろそろ行く。
ルイジェルドさん、食べていってください。
This makes me so happy.
That tension was real. Gosh, I wanna
Remember
hear
the
more about
cave
it.
interaction?
妹たちのことも。
ルイジェルドさん、お世話になりました。
アイシャ、あまりルーレンさんのことを言うんじゃないぞ。
はい、ルイジェルドさん。
安心しろ。また会える。
I wish we could see their entire journey.
一緒に行きたいです。
Think of it of hair color too. Norn has Rudy's hair color. Aisha's hair color is like more of a red.
だが俺ではなく、ルーデウスを頼れ。
実はお父さんを。それに前に見た時と隣にいる女の人が違うし、信じられない。
そういうこともある。俺の兄が不誠実というわけではない。そっちのもう一度名前を教えてくれ。
はい。
ルーデウスと共に二人を頼む。
はい。
また会おう。
Why, man? But it's perfect too. Oh.
遅れましたが、まずは長旅お疲れ様でした。
はい。お兄様もご健勝。
まあなんだ。のは初めてみたいなもんだし、仲良くやろう。
シルフィーネと結婚してるなんてびっくりだよ。ノルネーもそう思うよね。私シルフィーさんの。そうだ。お父さんからお兄ちゃんに会って渡すように言われていたもの。はい、どうぞ。
Oh, shit.
届いたのと同じだな。
Just in case.
2人を学校に通わせな
Send
さ
you
い
both to school.
I like the idea that he sent a just in case.
School has
letter.
nothing left to teach me.
お兄ちゃんのお世話がしたい。したじゃん。ほら、あの時のだっていつも思って
Oh!
God, it feels like forever ago, doesn't it?
じゃあせめて魔法大学の試験を受けてみてくれ。
ああ。はい、わかりました。
一応試験を受けてみようか。
お兄ちゃんが話してるでしょ。でも私散るかもしれないし。
それは心配しないでいい。お金があれば誰でも入学できるから。
して学校行きたくない。
俺の言い方が悪かった。させてもらおうってわけじゃなくて。
ちょっとノルンね、なんて口聞いてんのさ。だって
Aisha's so fucking protective. I love it.
ノルンねが勉強できないのが。
You gotta get Norn's perspective too, though, right?
まだ話終わってないよ。うるさい。はあ、聞き分けのない子供って嫌だよね。そう思うよね。
アイシャ、
何？
見下すようなことを言うのはやめなさい。
ノルンね頑張ってないんだもん。
そうかもしれないけど、ノルンはノルンなりに。
まあ、お兄ちゃんがそう言うなら気をつけ。
Rudy's so good at
I
this.
know. How he speaks to Julie. Oh my gosh.
うちのメイドになりたいらしい。どう思う？
おろそかになってるから、アイシャちゃんが手伝ってくれるって言うなら嬉しいかな。
But she should go to school.
シルフィー、俺たちは責任ある大人だ。可能性を示してやるのが仕事なのではないだろうか。
ルディが考えてるより優秀な子だよ。彼女はうまくやると思うよ。やりたいことをやらせてあげるのがいいと思う。はノルンちゃんの方かな。ルイジェルドさんと離れて不安そうにしてるみたいだし、面倒見てあげないとね。
なんかシルフィーが頼もしいな。まるでフィッツ先輩のようだ。あ、いや、フィッツ先輩なのか。
なんか僕、
いや、助かったよ。少し整理できた。またシルフィーに頼ることになりそうです。
困った時は助け合おう。
God, I love it.
夫婦だし。
And they're having parenting style discussions.
まさか満点。
Wow.
通わなくてもいいよね。
わかった。
She did say there's nothing left to
仕事の方はシルフィー
learn.
と相談して決めてくれ。
All right,
まさ
Norn.
かの家事、妹メイドの誕生である。こうはというと、今一つの成績だった。やや下回るぐらいで悪くはないらしい。
どこの学科に入りたい？結構面白い授業があるから何かやりたいことを例えば
寮で暮らしてみたい。
寮暮らしか。
ダメだよ。お父さんはお兄ちゃんと一緒に暮らせって言ってたもん。
やるのは簡単だ。ノルンが勇気を出して言ってくれたことだし、アイシャや嫌いな俺と毎日一緒にいるよりは少し距離を置いてみるのもいいか。
ノルンは寮で暮らすといい。
なんでわがまま聞くの？私は頑張って満点取ったのに、ノルン姉だけずるい。
アイシャ、寮で友達ができるかもしれないし、ノルンにとってもその方が。
ノルン姉をひいきするのは私のお母さんが目かけだからですか？
それ誰に言われたんだ？
お母さんと、あとノルンをひいきするんですか？
リーリャさんを目かけだなんて思ってないし、お前とノルンは両方とも同じ言葉で言ってもわからないかもしれないが、持って判断したつもりだ。
分かった。
Shows how fragile Aisha actually was. Why she tries her best so much.
魔法大学に通う上で言っておかないといけないことがいくつ。寮には寮のルールがあるので従うこと、今日を頑張ること、友達を大切にすること。この家から通ってもらいます。
はい。
学校で困ったことがあったら、
はい。
あと起きた時と寝る前にきちんと歯を磨くように、
はい。
お風呂にも入るように、
はい。
風邪をひかないように。最後に最低でも一度はこの家に
なんでですか？
心配だから。
Oh,
わかりました。
I love that final rule.
Because I worry.
ノル
に入って
Thrive.
A month ago.
一人も作っていないようで心配だ。
最近ボスが元気ないにゃ。
そう見えますか。
あちらがプレゼントを用意したにゃ。 用意するのに1ヶ月もかかったの。
Okay.
何ですか？
中を見るのは家に
I'm even more scared
誰に
now.
も見つからないところで
Open it in
No.
secret?
I'm scared.
なんですが
何をやっているんだ？
あ、いえ、に中身を当てようかと。
生徒会室まで来てくれないか。
わかりました。お疲れ様です。何か問題が起こりましたか？
女子寮の新入生の顔色が優れないのです。調査してみたところ、胸が小さく統計のいい子ばかりが悩んでいるようでした。
ノルも巻き込まれているのか？
できることなら任せてください。
そのうちの一人に詳しく聞いてみたところ、プルセナにその場で下着を脱ぐように強要されたということです。
下着。
さらに情報を収集してみると話していたそうです。その際に手に入れた下着を一つ。失礼ですが、
このカバンはリニアとプルセナより中身は見てませんが、そういうことなら中は例のものでしょう。
一応確認ですが、あなたが命じてやらせていた。
違います。
ルーデン様は無関係である。
結婚したばかりでどうしてそんな不満が出ましょう。
わかりました。信じましょう。させてあげられてないのかと。私もおかしいと思っていました。夜を過ごしているというのに他の女になど。
王女様に話しているんですか？
違う、そんなことはない。いえ、釜をかけてみただけです。婚生活が順調なようで。
Wow, smart.
Oh my goodness.
さて、それでですが。
はい。あの二人にはアリエル王女の手で被害者の元に返しておいてください。
はい、確
Oh
か
my
に。
god. Jesus Christ.
I really hope Norn wasn't one of the
リ
girls.
ニアとプルセナのせいで。
群れのボスも大変ですね。
ノル、もうすぐ授業が始まるぞ。
この学校の生徒会長を務めておりますアリエルと申します。ノルン
あ
だったです。あら。はい、ノルンさん、どうしました？第三実習室かどこかわからなくて案内してあげなさい。
はい。
お前たちのせいで濡れ衣を着せられるところだった。
ごめん、悪気はなかったの。
They really thought it would help.
They really thought it would be a good thing.
See, I told you it wouldn't work.
絶対喜ぶからって。ねえ、ジロジロ見てんじゃねえよ。な1年でね。なーになの？らせてやるの。
Tell
言ってお
him.
きますが、ことです。
まあ、あれぐらい元気ある方がいいや。
Love how quick they switch
俺
up.
の知らないところでちょっかいか。
もちろんにゃ。
It kind of helps that the big brother has the school bullies in his
家
bag.
族だからといってまあゆっくり仲良くなればいい。
What's her attendance gonna be like?
Okay, that was Mushoku Tensei, episodes 15 and 16 of season 2. You know, when we sat down to watch episode 15, maybe you can tell from that intro, we weren't planning on watching both of these episodes, but I and Anna, I think I could say for the both of us, we just needed to at that
It felt
point.
right.
Yeah.
And then, as in obviously hindsight, you know, after finishing both of them in a row, it was definitely the right choice.
Yeah, we typically do a discussion for one episode at a time, so this might be a little all over the place, but I think that it will be fine because it's always very easy for me to talk about Mushoku Tensei because I feel very immersed within the world and the characters.
And we're not switching up, like, you know, each episode right now isn't having like its own distinct narrative that's happening that's going to be pretty much separate from the next episode.
One episode wasn't at university and the other episode wasn't on the demon continent.
It led
you know?
into, you know, each other, especially with having an after credit for episode 15.
Yeah. Now, just because I would like to, I definitely want to talk about Norn and Aisha.
Oh, yeah,
right
for
off
sure.
the bat. I want to talk about Aisha first because Well, I guess both first, because the idea of the differing perspectives based off of first impressions is such a realistic thing, especially when you're talking about kids and what their interpretation of you is, right? For Norn especially, she is in a very weird place from everything that has happened to her, and now given where she is currently. She, through the interaction that she had with Ruijerd, it was heartbreaking seeing Ruijerd leave, more so for Norn than how sad I was to see Ruijerd leave. It seemed like she needs someone to hold on to, something to ground her.
She was luckily enough able to be with Paul after the mass teleportation. She still had a safe space.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid growing up in this world amidst like this tragedy that had befallen the world and that her father was really wrapped up in. And Ruijerd became like that second safe space because she was able to make a new kind of relationship with that person, a first impression that was probably positive. It was her father trusting this man with bringing her here.
Yeah.
And that final safe space was ripped away from her here, and now she has to be with this sister that she doesn't really get along with much, and then this brother that she doesn't have a great
who
impression
hit
of.
her dad.
Who
the
hit
one
her dad.
The main person who, like, that's the first
most
interaction,
important person
right?
to her. And she has obviously like very little of her life does she remember this person, if any. I mean, Rudy was sent away to live with, Eris's family at a pretty young age.
Obviously, given with what happened with Zenoba and Aisha and everything from season 1, where we met Ginger York, given everything that happened there, it makes sense that Aisha feels the way that she does towards Rudy. But what I am so surprised in such a good way that they really touched upon was the reason for this overcompensation that Aisha keeps like perpetuating. Like the idea that her mother was a concubine and that this is why Rudy isn't loving her as much or treating her differently potentially, and not having the same standard of her and Norn and letting Norn do whatever she wants, even though that is just her perspective.
One of the most interesting facts that came out of that scene, where we kind of get the real inside of how Aisha feels and why she is the way that she is and why she overcompensates or is so enthusiastic, was that Rudy asks, who has told you this? Who has used the word concubine to describe your mother? And Aisha says, my mother and Norn's grandmother. And that, it made so much sense to me to think that Lilia would have set her up this way.
Yeah.
Because Lilia, we know, was trying to put onto her from a very young age, like, Rudy is the master, and you will eventually be able to serve him one day, as you should. But also, I feel like Lilia was very aware of her position in the household when she did become pregnant with Aisha. And I think that in her mind, that was her setting Aisha up from getting any negative feelings in the future that were hard pills to swallow, anyone being able to use that against her, and that hoping that from a young age she'd be able to work through it.
Yeah.
Instead of someone being able to use it against her as a weapon in the future, and it kind of, surprise her. A surprise attack weapon. Something that, giving her time to process it, maybe that's what Lilia was thinking. I don't know, because Aisha's pretty young to kind of start tackling that idea or subject matter and how to feel about it.
Think about where Aisha is too, right? In extremely close vicinity to somebody younger and more fragile than her, that being Norn. If you're going to be like, Norn's life and trust is the faith that she has in her father, right? And that goes to show with the punching, the hitting that Rudy did on him for whatever reason we know and Norn doesn't. Like, that was enough to leave a mark. If you potentially, if you tell and go out of your way to be like, yeah, your dad did this, and to not a concubine, to like, it might put a bad light or an offense onto the younger child's perception of their own father or belief if that was even the case.
Right. I think that that's a good place to start going, because we've been talking about their first impressions of Rudy really helping with how they act around him. But I also think that definitely what Lilia has been told, not Lilia, what Lilia has told Aisha has informed how Aisha acts. Specifically around big brother, big brother, big brother, constantly reinforcing that I am your little sister. I love you. I will do whatever you ask.
Yeah.
It's like she's trying to ingratiate herself with this big brother, which is not an authentic, like, loving relationship as and healthy as it should hopefully become. But really it shows that both of these girls do not know their big brother, and he does not know them. They do not have an actual foundational relationship. If anything, both of their relationships have some unhealthy things happening in terms of why one is trying to get close to the other or trying to avoid the other.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk about where we think Norn is at emotionally and what might come of her character. Because flat out, like, we see her in her bed, just kind of, dead look, for lack of a better way to put it. But I don't know something needs to happen substantial to steer her in one direction or another. Like, I love Rudy internally thinking about what might be best for Norn, and that it would be easy to shut her down, but this is the first sign of things that is showing her own independence or her own desire, so Rudy's willing to, like, lean into that. But I think that there's no right answer from Rudy's perspective at the moment that could make Norn trust and love Rudy to the extent that she would ever Paul, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would take to go one way or another, and something needs to happen, because at the moment, it's not only stunting her potential education, but it's stunting her social, like,
right.
Yeah.
There's nothing, to go back to that scene where we decide to give Norn what she has brought the courage up to ask for.
Yeah.
There was no right answer there necessarily, because I feel like these two episodes together, thank goodness we watched them together, show what it is like to be, like, a dynamic of a child to a parent as both an adult child and a child with their parent or their parental figure. In episode 15, we get what it's like to be an adult child who is starting to make their way in this world, and they're getting kind of these good, positive feelings of their parental figure starting to, like, trust in them or view them as an adult because they've wanted to assert themselves as someone capable or adult. Like, and we get Rudy kind of, being so relieved and happy by this idea that Paul is sending his little sisters here, and that eventually the whole family could be here. And it's something that, like, makes him feel good and positive about, like, oh my gosh, like, they are trusting in me, counting on me, I am impressing them, I've done a good job. And it's still very childlike to my parent, like, am I doing good enough?
Yeah.
And then we get, obviously Sylphie and Rudy talking about parental ideas of, like, how do we make the right choices for these growing minds, these people that are going to turn into adults someday? How do we best help them thrive? And I feel like when I get that Norn scene, and then is asking what she wants to do, which is to live in the dorms, and then the ending of episode 16 of how she is in the dorms, it makes me think back to my dynamic, or a child's dynamic with their parents when they're more of a child to teenager, where it's like, yes, I wanted that, but it's like no answer was the right answer. Like, yes, let me live in the dorms. Oh, do you not love me enough to, like, want me to stay? Because Norn also wants to feel, I think deep down Norn also wants to feel like she is loved by her big brother.
Yeah.
Even if she had a bad first impression, I think she desires someone to want to look out for her and want her to be okay and to love her and want her around. She doesn't want to be necessarily shipped around. She might feel a little bit like her dad shipped her away. Like, oh, it's not safe for kids anymore, and just sent her away. We know that Norn didn't want to leave her father.
Mm-hmm.
And she might see Rudy letting her go to the dorms as like, you're gonna just let me slip into the cracks.
Even though
also.
it is what she wanted, and Rudy's intention was nothing but good and pure.
Right, and
like,
so it relates so much to that child or teen mindset that it's like, how do you be a good parent? Because if you enforce something, there's always going to be like this percentage of good and percentage of bad of how the kid might feel. And then when they're an adult, they might look back hindsight and be like, majority percentage, oh, my parent did the right thing there. I'm glad in hindsight that they did that, but it pissed me off when I was a teenager.
I don't know. Like, that's what I was trying to say in terms of like, it something needs to happen for Norn to go one way or the other, because there was nothing that could have, I probably would have done what Rudy did in that situation, but there was nothing that could have been done in that situation that would have fixed everything. You know, it's unrealistic.
It wasn't, I think I would have done what he did too, because of the fact that there are other kids that live in the dorm. This isn't like a crazy unsafe environment he would have been putting her in. Other students live in the dorms.
I'm like, I don't know if hearing good things about Rudy from everybody on campus, or like how renowned he is, would help Rudy's perception from for
Norn's
Norn,
perspective.
Yeah. Like I don't like, it will take something like an act Rudy does within Norn's point of view. Like, it will take something substantial, I feel like, but I'm worried about Norn right now. I'm a bit worried for her.
I do wonder if, is it an act, like a big event, or is it more of a stuckness? Like, this person's not going to leave you emotionally. Like, they are going to unconditional love you. Like, when Rudy was, his last rule was like, make sure you come here once every 10 days because I worry. I think a consistency is what Norn might need in order to build her relationship with Rudy, that he becomes a consistent positive presence in her life rather than one big flashy event.
That is the only thing that elicited a response other than silence or okay from Norn. I'm with you in that regard, that might be the road to go down, but we'll see. Man, I'm also a bit worried for Paul. Like, the idea that he's going to, they're in Eastport now, they're about to cross over to Begarit, and that's the second most dangerous continent other than the Demon continent, and we know Paul hasn't been there before. I hope that it isn't like an SOS that brings Rudy to Paul, and Roxy and the rest of the gang.
Right. I hope it's more like we have found her, we're ready for the final battle. Everyone come and fight.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's like a call to arms. Okay, we're ready to save Zenith. Like, here we go. A beautiful touch in terms of writing and continuity and having everything just be like so thought out and like, oh my god, you made sure to pack everything in your bag for this trip. You didn't forget anything. There was another copy of the original letter from Paul in the box that the two sisters brought with them to Rudy's house. I was like, oh, perfect, because, what if the letter hadn't arrived before they did? That makes complete sense that you would have put an extra copy of hey, I'm dropping your sisters off, here they are, this is why they're here.
But it all, that's why it worries me, because it gives like a sense of like a last act. Like I'm sending the money that we have that's enough to care for them with another copy of the letter. You need to be safe. It feels like Paul knew he was going into the belly of the beast type
beat. No place for children. I think that whatever they're about to get into is going to be really tough. I trust in the team that he has with him.
I will say that not only in this episode, but in the previous episode, especially with Nanahoshi, but expressions were so wiry. I don't know a better way to describe it, but like, people had such like panic and like anxiety within their eyes, whether it was Roxy, obviously, with the whole Ruijerd situation that we know, but like even Paul, right? Like there's a sense of anxiety that it brings over. Maybe it's because we watched episode 15 and 16 together that I'm feeling so anxious about this group. But within Nana, like, holy shit, Nanahoshi's episode, or episode 15 with Nanahoshi, was absolutely phenomenal in terms of her panic, her break.
I know that I said it during one of the like intros, either for episode 15 or 16, but I'll just like reiterate it so maybe we can talk about it more if there's anything to talk about. That it feels like this was the perfect balancing choice, you know, as Rudy was not comfortable in his previous world and has become who he wants to be, or a better version of himself here. He has become Rudy here. And then Nanahoshi has been completely closed off to this world, only desiring to go back to her own. That it would take becoming one with this world, or at least appreciating this world, in order to get her home. And I think that that idea is a beautiful balance for her character, and I desire, especially now, for her to be able to go home.
Definitely.
And I hope that's like a final goal.
I'm just glad that they expanded on the emotional character that is Nanahoshi. It's one of my favorite things about Mushoku Tensei, like the borderline panic attacks we see multiple characters have, the way of thinking and character growth internally that we saw from even Ruijerd very early on with the conversation he had with Rudy in the cave. We like there is such a depth of emotion that this story it continues to convey, and I feel like I hadn't, like, obviously we had the entire ED thing for the first half of season 2 amongst other things, but when it gets to the seriousness and severity of Nanahoshi breaking down and ripping everything in her room apart, and the way that they drew her, like the utter deadness and exhaustion that she felt is one of the main reasons that I love the story and how well it's written. And it makes me feel closer to the character of Nanahoshi and want for her more.
I think that Nanahoshi is another example of us unpacking the word genius in this show. Rudy is thought to be prodigy-esque in his magic. Cliff has been introduced to us as a genius character. Whoever created this doll is said to be a genius.
True.
Nanahoshi is the silent genius in her tower, not having any interaction with the rest of the world. And for Nanahoshi's case, and I think it mirrors somewhat Rudy's journey before getting to this school. If we talk about, you know, why Rudy came here, we all know that he was looking for a cure. He was dealing with panic and anxiety. He was dealing with self-hatred and viewing himself in a really, like, self-esteem issues, definitely, abandonment issues. And coming here to this school, which is a place where everyone has gathered together either to make friends or to further their own learning and continue to grow as individuals. It's a very positive environment, and we know that for Rudy's story, it has been a very positive environment, mainly because Sylphie was here, which is great. Nanahoshi is here in this school and in this world, but has been unwilling to open herself up to it. She's had tunnel vision. The only mind that she is picking is her own. And so when you do that, what happens is that in what episode was it? 15? Both of them are like melding together in my mind. In episode 15, we have her realizing that what has been brought to her is so simple. She literally goes, "That's so simple." And she was just so stuck with only herself to talk at and to figure things out that she then got this tunnel vision that avoided some maybe big, simple ideas that especially could be brought to her from someone that knows the magic of this world, as well as magic users in this world, people that live in this world and have since they were born.
Yeah, I love not only the fact that it was like, oh, everybody was brought together to fix this issue, but the thought behind it, that people who are in different fields might have a different perspective that could lend itself here, which we got into with the compound designs and thinking that this could exceed that two-dimensional barrier that we were at, that restriction that we were at, you know? But the success in summoning the bottle, right? I love like the reactions to like, is this glass? Like,
What is this?
Fucking
It's
plastic,
soft.
right? How specific do you think it was that it was a plastic bottle? Because I feel like there is a level of being scared that we might have to keep in the back of our heads if this wasn't intended to specifically be a plastic bottle.
I think that she could have had a desire for what it would be, and in her workings of that circuit board in her mind and what she was creating, do density, do size, because obviously she had already figured out about the pulling of mana in order to create something in this world with magic or with teleportation. I believe she was being very specific with parameters around what she was trying to bring into this world, and she probably put ideas like a density of an object.
Okay, I hope that that's the case. I just know that like within real life, like what comes with immense self-pressure and anxiety and despair comes rashness and risk-taking.
Right, that once she's gotten on this high of a success,
or even before it.
mm-hmm.
Like, just like, I want this so bad that I'm willing to risk things that might fuck over other people or harm other people.
Right, and now we have a place of her becoming closer with the people of this world, not only where she's recognizing their talents with her complimenting Cliff and appreciating their help, but then going and basically having a little party with them afterward. Would this put her down a path where she might be a little more wary of a choice that could end up impacting this world again? I mean, in a negative way.
We saw the knife that Sylphie found in undressing Nanahoshi, and like, one assumption that could be made is something as horrific as like taking your own life because of not being able to find an answer and you not being able to live in this world.
But another is protecting yourself. If she has lived this whole time in this world as feeling like she needs to protect herself for this mission and that she cannot trust anyone else, and as soon as Rudy comes along, someone of her world, she can give him a little more trust. I wouldn't be surprised if she just had a weapon on her in order to just keep her safe, because she didn't trust and she wasn't immersed and she wasn't didn't have friends that she could lean on or feel protection from. But I think that we've kind of maybe protected this world. Yeah. But also it could lead to a more devastating...
Like, can you imagine her being like, I'm so sorry, I just needed to do this, and like slightly hurts everybody.
What would it mean for her mental if she's now... It was probably easier before to think of maybe getting her home. It's okay if it negatively impacts this world because I'm keeping myself separate. Yeah. Because I am not relating and I'm not getting close to the people of this world, I am able to act with no regard for it. Will that put her in a tough situation? What if it is, you could do it right now, but this would happen to this world? Will she still do it?
Rui Jerd was in the southern jungles for a bit.
That sounds cool. We should get a spin-off series.
I missed him so much, and I was a little upset at the idea that he wasn't going to be within like the main elements of the story going forward. But I think that it's the perfect way to bridge the arc, or to bridge the development in the story that happened. I mean, if you're going to give me some bullshit character I've never met before and try to convince me that Paul trusted them to transport Norn and Aisha all the way to Rudy, there's no fucking way. The only other person who could have done it that I would have been happy with would be Geese, you know? And
yeah,
Geese
that was my other option, but then I
Yeah.
was like, what Paul's saying as like an introduction to this person, I feel like it would have been very like less formal because Paul was friends with Geese, so
But
I was like, this needs to be Rui.
It's such a great through line because of obviously like Rui Jerd's perspective of children and kids and what he like, how strongly he needs to protect them,
and especially the appearance of both children.
Yeah,
did not
escape
Rudy
and Eris. But I'm really glad with how they used Ruijerd's character, and I'm glad that he was only here for that interaction in that time.
He stayed for breakfast.
Yeah, and he had the talk he did with Rudy about Eris. I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The retouching of on the conversation that Rudy and Eris had. I think in hindsight now that Rudy is with Sylphie is definitely really fascinating and interesting to think about.
It's something that had to happen if we're talking about a realistic marriage and love between Sylphie and Rudy. For the reason he came here, the person that cured him ending up being Sylphie, there does need to be in the narrative the bringing back of the original perpetrator of putting that curse on Rudy and having him feel the way that he did. I think that that's completely necessary in the writing, and it wasn't lost on me that in both of these episodes we have Rudy either relating to the feelings of anxiety or almost being brought back to, like, almost like he's reliving it. And he even said, like, he was reliving some bad memories. He said that to Zenoba after, like, the knife and after helping Nanahoshi.
Mm-hmm. I really like the line that Ruijerd had when Rudy says that, like, that Eris said that we weren't well matched, and Ruijerd said, you don't know what she meant. Maybe she meant just what she said, but maybe you misunderstood her in terms of, like, it just being a misunderstanding. Maybe she could have meant something else. It, like, brings the mature, like, the immaturity versus maturity and the growth that has happened within Rudy, like, internally, because I know firsthand when something happened 5 to 10 years ago and I had an interaction with somebody or I took something a certain way, it cements itself in your mind and doesn't do the emotional growth and development the rest of your person does, because you're solidified in the first way that you took that interaction. You don't have that perspective of you now being able to put yourself in your own shoes from then.
Right, and right after that line, Ruijerd brings up the idea that if he runs into Eris again, he will get her side of things and let him know. That brings me into Norn. Norn's first impression of Rudy being, he hit my dad. But as Norn gets older, could something be explained to her of the complexity of that interaction? And could she start to understand more of Rudy's perspective in that moment? How his age in that moment, how he was feeling, what was being said to him in that moment? I think that that's a pretty cool through line of, like, making sure you don't make a judgment just based off what your eyes can see or what one party tells you, but that you can have the maturity and growth that you're willing to observe the whole picture before you come to a decision of how you feel about it.
I wonder if, like, revisiting that idea in his own mental, like, about that Eris interaction, what she meant by well matched, would put Rudy on the track of, holy shit, maybe I should talk to Norn about that first interaction. She brought up hitting her dad. Maybe I should bring it up again, and that, like, with or without correct reason, like, I understand that was fucked up for you, and that was really, like, hard for you. This is my perspective, but it doesn't justify it, because Norn's older now, you know?
Right, and something that happens in terms of Rudy's perspective being said is in that talk with the two sisters, Rudy's able to tell Aisha his perspective of her, how he genuinely views her, which is as much his little sister as Norn is. And so we already are shown one of the sisters getting a peek into how their big brother actually feels about them, getting, like, a real, okay, now we're starting to learn each other.
I also wanted to touch on, just, like, while it's still in my mind, we had learned from the letter from Paul that Aisha was clever. And then we get an example of it with Ruijerd, about it was her idea to travel in a certain way, to travel faster within the guard. I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. So hard. Yeah.
I think that what we were able to do with and another plus to us watching these two episodes together, I think everything's so laced together, what we were able to do with Nanahoshi's character, a person who isn't making friends on campus, is locking themselves in their room. What did we do to start to get them more comfortable with making friends or being with people? It took a while.
Yeah.
And it takes what I was thinking would maybe be necessary with Norn, which is a consistency of a positive presence in your life.
Interesting that we got brought back up the idea of Rudy not being able to use healing magic without an incantation. And we had a reason being put onto the table for it within this episode. And so I thought that was really interesting, the lack of being able to understand how somebody feels with that. But
because he can't feel what magic would feel onto him unless it like has to do with his own blood.
Yeah, I think I could feel like I could make a bridge from that interaction to the interaction with Nanahoshi and her not being able to supersede this barrier because it's coming from a perspective of somebody who lived in Japan
like
and
we're
on
thinking
Earth.
about circuits.
Yeah, I think that there might be a similarity there because healing magic is genuinely otherworldly, and it's not like Rudy was a surgeon in his past life.
And the doll might make more sense to Nanahoshi.
Yeah.
Which could be an interesting thing to have happen.
Oh my god, what came after that conversation of Sylphie being like, well, with elves, I don't know if I'll be able to give you children. We might be able to set up something for you. And first of all, character moment for Rudy being like, fuck no, I'm not gonna do that. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, but I absolutely could. And then secondly, like, what... It reminded me of, like, just to break the Mushoku Tensei wall a little bit. Like, you and I have always talked about if we ever had kids, it feels like... I'm adopted. It feels like if we had kids, it wouldn't necessarily come from, you know, natural means from us. It feels like it would come from something else. Like, whether it's adoption or something else happening that brought that to the table as an opportunity. And... with that, obviously it was a great segue for Norn and Aisha to show up, but it was really fascinating. It was a great moment.
I definitely really liked that moment. I think that some of my highlights for these first couple episodes of this core 2 has been the moments that I'm like, Rudy, you sound like a real good, healthy husband right now. Like, the idea of, like, how they're speaking to each other being things that make me want to, like, snap and clap and be like, clip that.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Practice that in your own life. The idea that, like, you're choosing this person. This person, no matter what your life is, you're not choosing this dream fairy tale life with this person you might have concocted in your brain. You're choosing this person.
Yeah.
And people change throughout their lives. This person that you have decided on is going to be somewhat different 50 years in the future. Maybe have different interests, maybe feel differently about different things. You grow with that person and you continue to learn them. You continue to learn their likes because their likes are going to change. Maybe they used to like spicy food and now they can't handle it anymore. You're going to continue to grow and continue to find things to learn about that person. And it is that person that you love that you are choosing to do life with. And that if something came where that person couldn't have children or couldn't give you children, even though you both have agreed, being Rudy and Sylphie, that they want to have kids and fill their house with children, that it doesn't matter if that actually came to fruition, because it was like, I'm doing life with you and that's what I've chosen. That's like marriage vows. That moment made me really happy. Also, Sylphie is constantly thinking of Rudy in who he was as a kid, but also who his father is. And that has informed a lot of, over season 2, over the course of being here, how she acts around him. We know that Sylphie, when Rudy was with Eris and Eris's family, was kind of learning caretaking duties from Zenith and Lilia in order to, like, hopefully be something for Rudy someday. And bringing up the idea of concubine, like, oh, but you could have one, because she, in her mind, that knows, because she helped with Norn and Aisha as they were babies, like, she knows that Paul did that, and Paul... I don't think he didn't intentionally do it in terms of making a baby. But that's how that family dynamic ended up working out. She's putting it out there, oh, Rudy, I'm okay with this. And I'm like, maybe she is okay with it. Maybe it's a thing of this world that societally most people are okay with that. I don't know. But it also brings me into something that happened in episode 16 that I wanted to talk about, which is Ariel's test. We get this idea of, like, both of these things of Ariel's test with the bag, and then this conversation in episode 15 between Rudy and Sylphie about kids. Both of these are relationship tests. These are things that are proving the love that these two people have for each other, both in how they're able to communicate and be honest with each other, and that, like, I'm with you for life, like, you are the one I've chosen, to, oh no, here we have a conflict where there might be the idea of faithlessness, like someone not being loyal or faithful. Maybe one person isn't satisfying the other. And Ariel tests this by getting, you know, them kind of riled up in terms of their romantic life at home.
Ariel just wanted to know, man. She wanted to know. Last thing I have, very interesting interaction between Body Gotti and Rui Jerd, and understanding that they have history and they're sizing up of each other, if you will. And the idea that Rui Jerd is, that sounds a lot like Body Gotti, and coming all the way here for Rudy. But
I do wonder why Body Gotti was there that morning. Seems kind of interesting circumstances that Body Gotti was there on the morning that Rui Jerd was leaving. At the moment that he was leaving the house early in the morning, when he had just arrived the night before, it's almost like there must have been a sensing thing. Like Body Gotti maybe went there because he knew Rui Jerd was there. Because I can't, it's too coinky-dink. It's too coincidence for me.
All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We hope to see you next time.